final. I think you were 3 years out from a World Cup, the biggest event on the planet to come to Canada. I was part of a 2015 Women's World Cup where we had everything. We had everything to prepare the team from residencies. It was, and it takes a lot to get teams ready for World Cups. I think the current status, it's clear. There's a financial challenge. We are challenged financially. I think everyone expected coming off a World Cup. I think they expected that it was going to be all sunshine and rainbows. You know, there was going to be finances to take the team to the next level. And it's not. So it's a challenge. That's a leadership challenge for the organization. We have to find solutions and find them quick. It's not about pointing fingers. I think the whole group has to come together. The whole game has to come together to find a genuine solution to make sure our country can perform. These players have earned that right. The staff have earned that right. We shouldn't be going backwards after a World Cup. But we do understand that the expectations have gone up in this country, for sure. And it's time for us to come together and find a solution.
You've recruited players in both programs, both programs to World Cups, impressive results. But I imagine this has been quite a lot on you.
I think it's leadership is never straight. It's never a straight line. I think, you know, you have your good days and you have your days where you have to dig in, and also days where you have to provoke. You have to raise some of the challenges we face. But you know, I can't be part of a problem here. I have to be part of a solution. And I think our organization are committed. You heard, you know, our General Secretary this morning with a real strong statement. And I think your statement was pretty clear. One, it was honest. And two, that the organization's working to find those solutions. And we have to. Got a World Cup coming, 3 years' time. And we want to win the thing. That's the exciting thing. You play a home World Cup. You've seen the South Koreans get the semifinals. You know, anything can happen at a home World Cup. It just has a unique opportunity. And we don't want to be 10 years down the line saying, wow, we should have done this. This was a decision we should have made. We should have maybe put the World Cup team first. Or, I mean, those things can't be a 10-year afterthought. This is the moment now. So there may be some friction and tough conversations to be had, but that's all part of leadership. And I think it'll move in the right direction.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi. Good afternoon. Hugo Ramirez from Univision, TUDN. One question for you, Coach, and then for Ali. The first one, Coach, I don't want to be rude, but in the terms of sports, US planned the approach of the World Cup with an alternate team, if you want to call it like that, with youth talent. Mexico is living right now a level of uncertainty with a new head coach. Why didn't Canada maybe take advantage of those things and had their main squad? Last weekend you had a final, the first one in 23 years. Maybe this was the time to Canada to bring the best team possible and have lift up trophy that maybe will help to.
Great question. Tough one though. Tough one to answer. I mean, you know, we've had a World Cup at the back end of the year. Players have had long seasons, but also we've celebrated some, I guess, breakout performances from young Canadians that are looking at maybe greener pastures for their football careers, and those tier 1 leagues, maybe top 5 teams in tier 1 leagues. We're hoping some of our players will land there. I mean, even some of the young players that could have taken advantage of the opportunity to come here, that are fighting to be part of the national team for 2026. They're in flux. They've got seasons, pre-seasons, where they've got to break into a new team. And it's difficult. So I think as a coach, you have to, one, put the players' needs first, as always. And then two, recalibrate and then get excited about this group here, this hungry group of players. I mean, I went into a Gold Cup last Gold Cup 2021. You know, we had David pull out a week before. We had Fonzie pull out in the Gold Cup. We had Laren breakdown. We had Ayo Akinola, ACL. We brought Tesho Akindele in the night before a semi-final against Mexico. You know, these tournaments tend to give you that opportunity to explore the depth, but more importantly, to create launch pads. I don't think the Tejon Buchanan that you've seen in the World Cup would have been that guy if he hadn't won the Young Player Award and broke out at this Gold Cup. So that's the opportunity. I've looked definitely at which of the players that may be able to have that breakout opportunity that are available. And some guys, unfortunately, have got pre-seasons where their club managers have said, you're a young player. You need to stay here and break into this first team. And then we have a conversation. And if I can get a guy playing at the Premier League week in, week out, and sacrifice the Gold Cup, then that's what we have to do.
Thank you, Coach. And for Ali, what does it mean to have your first maybe cap, first minutes with the Canada men's national team? Thank you.
I would say special for myself, my family, everybody around me, my support group. This is something I would say we've been dreaming for a long time, and to be here in my hometown, Toronto, just even to be on the game day roster tomorrow is special for me at BMO. You know, to soak everything from everybody here. You know, there's a lot of big time guys who've been at the highest level. John, Phil, Richard, Shaw. So to be able to be in that environment is something special for me, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Next question.
John, Steph and Sam pulled out today. Can you maybe explain why, and how do you plan on balancing the mix between new blood coming into the team and some of the experienced players that you have for this tournament?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think with Steph and Sam, we left it as late as we possibly could. So Sam had came into the Nations League with a bit of a tendinopathy element around his knee, and some of the compensation on that, we ended up with a groin issue. And he's had a long year. You know, that lad's had a long year. We had a pretty honest conversation about what he needed to reset his mind, and more importantly, his body. And when his body's right, then, you know, I think his emotionality can be better. I mean, the guy was part of a really horrific event and hasn't really had time to deal with that. And then injury on top of it. So, you know, that was a real good conversation. And I think the same with Steph. I mean, for those that know Steph, he's had 50 games this season. That last game against the US, you know, he's carrying something going into that. And it worsened because we pushed him right through to the 90th minute. And he's another one. I mean, he lost his mum recently, hasn't had a chance to even reset himself. And, you know, when guys are carrying injuries and they've got that emotionality as well, it's difficult. They need recovery. They need that time. And, you know, I felt for Steph because he was desperate to lead this team through the Gold Cup. And yeah, I mean, it was a tough conversation. So it's opened the door. I mean, it's opened the door. Young Jaden Nelson is going to pop in now. And I'm excited to see Jaden. The last 3 weeks, he's shown a different level of form, you know, prior to the selection. And he gets a chance now. And, you know, the next man up, Liam Fraser, he comes in again to try and prove himself. But I think at the next level of this, it forces me to give opportunity to some young fellas that, you know, normally wouldn't if Steph was here. And I've got some high hopes for at least one of them.
Thank you.
Hi, John Alley, Matt Cullen with One Soccer. Thanks for doing this.
Starting with you, Ali. A few weeks ago, you were in a very difficult position, a scary incident on the turf at Pacific. Great to see you here. I saw you running in Vancouver a few weeks ago. How's the road to recovery been, and especially the road to get to this point where you're part of John's group?
First of all, the road to recovery from that concussion, honestly, I think it surprised a lot of people to see myself back on the pitch in 2, 3 weeks. Initially, even myself, when it first happened, the first day it happened, I'm thinking it's going to be a long-term injury, but, I'm thankful that I was able to make the recovery as fast as possible and to get me back on the pitch in time for this, so I've been getting some solid reps before I got here. So thankful for that. And obviously the journey's been a long one for me, obviously I'm not the typical make it in 18, 19, but I think that the what do you call it? On my best side, the lack of opportunity I was getting kind of gave me a little extra motivation and extra hunger to keep going and honestly I will agree that there were times that I was questioning if I would get here for sure because it was hard, but it definitely taught me a lot of things and it built a lot of character, got me stronger, and it makes all of this 10 times sweeter. Even being in this press conference with the big man it's something I'm gonna cherish for sure, and I'm grateful for everything. So yeah, I'm thankful for sure.
All right, we'll do one for the big man then next to you. So in terms of
A little big man.
in terms of your opponent tomorrow, this is a tournament that we see teams and players that we don't often get to see,
Yeah.
and they bring new elements. This is a fantastic region when it comes to different variety of different types of teams. What do we expect from your opponent tomorrow?
They're a tough team. I think it's. I mean, we'll always look at the analytics and the scouting elements. I think qualitatively they're at a similar valuation to Canada, which is very surprising. And the only player playing in a top 5 league plays for their team. With the Serie A centre back Gravelon. So this is a team that are going to be tough. They're physical. They have a French flavor to their style, and for Canada, we really have to be on our game, cohesive. We've been working like extra hard this week. The lads, normally we allow the freshness element to come in, but we work the boys really hard tactically this week to get them on the same page. They've been doing a lot of off-field meetings. The leadership group have been working them behind the scenes in review sessions, and it's been a breath of fresh air, to be honest. Like the hunger, the desire from this group to actually want to do that extra work. It reminds us of where we were 2 years ago when we were fighting to be, that team in CONCACAF. I think for the staff, the players, there's just been this new energy, and these guys are hungry, super hungry. So yeah, I can't wait to give some of them an opportunity.
Quick question.
Just a quick two-part, if I can, to that point about the fight, John, and to you, Ali. How much does it mean to you to come into a locker room where you have Jonathan Osorio, who, like you, went on trial away from home and had his struggles? Steven Vittoria was from Mississauga, went to Portugal. What Milan's journey has been, Junior, what he was able to do in grinding out a career, being successful in England. How much does it mean to you as someone who's had that journey too, to be around guys who are like that you can look up to? And John, when you're evaluating youngsters like Ali now, you talk about how important is that fight in them? Because the fact is, you're probably going to have 5 or 6 guys who are starting in the Champions League next year. And there might be that perception that Canada now, you have guys who are winning trophies all the time. But how important is that fight still to the mentality and philosophy of this team?
Go first. All right. Honestly, the guys, I think they've been extra amazing for guys like me and younger guys, newer guys. The communication they've been giving us has been amazing. It's helping me and all the younger guys just settle in and not to stress too much. Making my job easy on the field, talking to me, you making a mistake, not in your ears. Just understanding that uh, you know that they're the vets and they gotta slowly just be our teachers. So the guys have been amazing. The brotherhood, that John preaches, and you see it and you feel it, and it makes it easier for any new guy that comes in. So the connection with the group is has been amazing from our first 3 days. I think if you see the connection, you wouldn't think I just met a couple of them 3 days ago. So it makes my job easier on the field for sure. So just enjoying the environment with these guys, amazing guys on and off the field, and just soaking each brain from everybody, and just excited to be on the field with those guys.
Yeah, I think the fight is critical. I think for this tournament, and that's what I'm excited about. I've seen the hunger, the desire coming in for the group. There's a mentality where they actually want to do more extra. Um, and again, as a coach, I've not felt that for a while. We get to a certain point, and I think we take for granted the work that got us there. And having this experience gives you that reminder. There's a reset to do here. We've actually got to come back to some basics with the core group, and more importantly, the opportunity for this group, if they bring that collective fight, that they may push into the core group. And that's the exciting thing. I think this tournament could be the launch pad for an Ali Ahmed, for Moise Bombito, for a Zach McGraw to, and who knows, next year be in the Champions League. And then asking harder questions of the group that aren't here. I think that's what I've turned a glass half empty into a huge glass half full coming into this tournament.
I wanted to ask you, John, what is it that you would like to see most out of your team tomorrow and moving forward in the tournament when you speak about the type of fight that they've shown prior to it?
I think they're going to have to grow through the tournament. From what I've seen from the first 3 days in training, it's not cohesive yet. It's not right there, and that's normal for a group that are new together. So they're going to have to grow. So they got to stay positive. They've got to be resilient in these moments, because Guadalupe have quality, and that quality will test them. So the connection's got to grow in that first period of time. And what I mean by connection is that we take responsibility and ownership for the tactical roles, the little units and groups on the field. I'd like to see that tighten game to game. And I want us to be tested. I want them to be tested tomorrow. I don't want this to be an easy game, but they're coming into a stadium we've not lost in a long time. In my tenure, we've pretty much won every game. I think maybe we've drawn one and won all the others. So there's pressure, there's expectation, but at the same time, that's what will forge this group over a 3-game period. They'll move into Houston into some crazy temperatures. They'll be tested again. New faces, squad rotated. So as I said to the boys, by the group stage, you want your 9 points in the bag, top of the group. That's the key. So you control your destiny. How you get those 9 points is a growth. It's a journey. I'm not expecting perfection. I'm not expecting a MNT 4-0 against Honduras or 4-1 performance where you're 3 goals up in 20 minutes. That's not my expectation. My expectation is embrace the fight that's coming, stay together, live what you can in the tactical identity you've learned, and play fearlessly, because that's one thing I'll never take away from this group. Play our way.
Virtual our guests that are joining us from Zoom. So Manuel Medina, you can go ahead.
Hello, John. This is Manuel Medina from TJ Sports. I wanted to ask you. You talk about how this group is hungry to make something, but I wanted to ask you about complacency. You're gonna play against Guadeloupe, against Guatemala, and then Cuba. How do tell them that these are, your rivals in this group, that they have to go out and play as if they're, I don't know, playing against, the biggest teams in the world? Because if not, they might fail to advance to the next round. So how can you tell them, like, okay, Canada is doing really really good right now in CONCACAF, but of course they still need to go step by step? Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's definitely a one game at a time mentality. And we worked with the leaders last night to look at the reality of this tournament. We aren't necessarily the big dogs on paper in this tournament. Even coming into the Guadalupe game, the guys were surprised to see the qualitative realities of the two teams. And then you put into that landscape the new faces that you might see playing for Canada in the next match. So we're starting from scratch. It's a new start for us. This game tomorrow will be a new beginning for some players, and they have to treat it like this is the first game that we've played together and the first opportunity they get to show themselves as a team. And we know Guadalupe on the counter-attack have massive physical threat and speed. We know Guatemala are one of the most organized, disciplined teams in the tournament, who've maybe lost 4 games in 20, well organized, and you're playing them in heat. So 3 tough tests, 3 very tough tests coming, different tests. Excited. I mean, I think that's what we're breeding in the group. We start again. That's the mentality. And you live the Canadian DNA to the best of your ability and forge the results.
Thank you. Last question for our press conference goes to John Molinaro. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us. It's the second camp in which you brought in Peter Galindo as part of your staff. I just wanted to ask you about, how did you first reach out to him, and what has bringing in Peter meant in terms of, in terms of helping out on the scouting and analytics side?
Yeah, I think over the last 3 years, I'd always had a bit of a gripe that a lot of the reporting wasn't as analytical. The facts were never really considered, or there wasn't a deep analysis that you'd see in places like Europe or around our game. And I always thought Peter was at least, one of those journals that were pushing in that angle. He was always looking to try and take an objective lens to performance. So, everyone watches a game emotionally through that lens. But then, for Peter, you could see that it was an area he was passionate about. It was an area that he had some talent in, and he could articulate elements of an analysis, a post-game analysis really well. And we want to give opportunity to people like that in our country. Ex-goalkeeper, super passionate football person, put in, I think, 10 years from a young age to his craft. And, after our first meeting, we sort of hit it off. You can see he's a guy that's a bit of a perfectionist, and that's what you need in that type of role, someone that really wants to cross all the T's and dots the I's. So he's learning from Shane Lamy and Alex Dodgson, and learning about MNT statistical analysis. And yeah, he's just been an absolute breath of fresh air.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Ali. That's it for Team Canada. We'll be back with Guadalupe. Thank you.
Thank you.